who was participating in the last Asian Games. When you just look into the fundamentals of throws, there are so many common elements in all the four throws. And first common element is all are facing towards the direction of throws, other than hammer throwing. In hammer throwing, they are not facing towards the direction of throws when they initiate the action. And straining the muscles of shoulder and trunk, that means creating a torque or creating a power position before the release. In all the three throws, shot put, javelin, discus, you can find this. You can find this, they are straining the muscles of shoulder and trunk, and then dissolving the arc position and making a delivery. And that is transmission of force from the legs and trunk to the throwing arm. You must remember, when you teach your athletes throwing events, you must teach them to use the bigger muscle first, then the small muscles. The basic reason is the big muscles are slow and the small muscles are fast. If you are not using the big muscle first, then you will not be able to use the big muscle. You will not be able to use the big muscle, and by that you all know that big muscles have big power as well. So we will not be able to deliver the power to the throwing arm in the delivery phases. So basically, when we teach throwing events, the first thing, the fundamental which you have to teach them to use the bigger muscle first and then smaller muscles. Not only in throwing, even when you do the lifting, barbell lifting, when you throw a medicine ball, or everywhere we have to insist and focus to use bigger muscle first and then smaller muscles. Then the other thing, acceleration. In all the throws, the common elements, the acceleration of throwing arm, throwing hand, and throwing implement, to create the maximum velocity during delivery. And other common element is the power position. Power position is the most important part of teaching throws, because if you are not having a proper power position, that is what my chief coach used to say, referring some of the national athletes, that if an athlete cannot create a proper power position, they will not be having a good delivery, or we can call it as striking position. So we must concentrate when we teach power position. It should be, the basic thing is that there should be the distance, that stance of the power position should be according to the athlete, because if an athlete is very tall, he may make a longer power position. If an athlete is short, he may make a shorter power position. For example, in rotational and linear throws, in shot put, you can find a rotational technique. They will be having slightly less stance, and the distance between the right leg and left leg, but in the linear one, it will be slightly more. And then comes the position of the left and right leg. That is for all the throws, it is same. That is heel toe. That is the heel of the right leg and the toe of the left leg should be in line. Simply means that right leg should be little more open than the position of the left leg. If we don't do this, you will not be able to have a fast acceleration of your hip action and your right leg action. And by that we will be losing the velocity, delivery speed. So we must ensure that right heel and left toes should be in line. It is similar for javelin, discus, shot put. But the position of the left leg is not similarly like discus and shot put for javelin, because it will be little more pointing towards the direction of throws. But otherwise, it is same for discus and shot put. Then bracing of the left leg is placed slightly to the left so that the hip on the side of the pressure can be brought forward. The same thing I explained in a simple language. That is, if you are keeping the left leg little open, you will be able to bring the hip and we can use the pressure on to be and then can be brought forward. What are the objectives? Main objective is to throw farther. As I said, the fundamentals has to be aiming to throw further. And what are the biomechanical aspects which affect the parabolic throwing part of the implement? In other words, we can say that parabolic throwing part is like, we can say the distance. What are the biomechanical aspects which make impact on the distance of throwing? We can say velocity of release or speed of release, and angle of release, and then the height of release. So what you feel is more important? Is it angle of release, or is it height of release, or is it velocity of release? But to my experience, I can say, and to my experience and to the biomechanical aspects, the velocity of release is the main factor which decides the parabolic path of the implement. That means the distance of the implement. And there are some other biomechanical aspects also affect throws. That is frontal drag of the implement. Also the rear drag. That normally happens by the headwind and the tailwinds. Here I can just tell that if an athlete is very smart and technically strong, he can overcome this as biomechanical aspects by technique. For example, when an athlete releases the discus, the attack angle, otherwise angle of incident, that is the angle between the center of gravity of the discus and the edge of the discus. If you adjust that, then we will be able to control this biomechanical aspects which is forbidding the drag, the drag. For example, if there is a front headwind, you can have little more angle of you can keep little less angle of attack, so that the front wind, the headwind will be slightly lifting the discus on the parabolic path, and it will be getting a very better flight, and by that they can achieve a good distance, sometimes much better than their training best. Similarly, when there is a tailwind, if an athlete increase the attack angle, the tailwind will be pressing down the discus, and they will be able to maintain the parabolic path and can get better distance. These are the aspects when they come to the elite level. You know, in US there is a place, Chula Vista. Most of athletes are going there before the World Championship and Olympic Games to get qualified, because there is a strong wind, frontal wind in that place in almost all the time. Delivery and recovery. Let us go to the each phases. First is preparation. Then in that preparation, we will be teaching how the athletes to how the implement is holding and gripping. It's for shot put, discus, javelin, and all, and assuming a perfect balanced positions to start the throw. Also, concentrating for the event to perform. How? Just having thinking of the model with them and concentrating for to start the throws. So this is what is the preparation phase. Then come momentum phase. We have to be very careful when we teach this particular stage, because if an athlete is creating a momentum which he or she is not to transfer to the implement. If she or he is not able to transfer to the implement and throwing arm and implement, then the momentum building, the momentum as built will be of no use. So we should have the optimum speed, optimum momentum should be created so that the athlete will be able to transfer the same momentum to the throwing arm and the implement. So it should start slow, especially when the athletes in our group, we should make them to start slow and act as fast as possible in the power position when the right foot touches in the at the center of the circle or in the sector. And from the momentum building phase, we are creating a pre-tense position of the body. Otherwise, a power position with the torque to create more velocity to the throwing arm. And power position again, I'm just asking this striking position and power position, otherwise known as striking position. I already explained in the beginning what are the things which we have to remember when we teach the power position. Especially, we must ask the athlete to focus to keep the body weight on the right leg, completely on the right leg. In all throws other than hammer throwing, the body weight is kept in the right leg in the throughout throwing action. But of course, in the hammer throw, the body weight is maintained on the left leg. And what is happening in the power position? There's a muscular tension throughout the body and a balanced stance with both feet on the ground. In the beginning, I said, we need a balanced stance. The stance has got no particular distance like it should be 1 meter. It is as per the athlete's strength level as well as his physiological level. If you have a long stance, sometimes if the athlete is not having the sufficient strength on the right foot, right leg, he will not be able to act so fast, as fast to get into a delivery position. And body weight over the right foot, right heel is lifted. Please don't insist your athlete to keep the right heel lifted. Exactly what is happening when you say keep the heel lifted, then the athlete will try to lift the heel purposely and they will not get a proper foot position and they will be just on the ball of the foot, and from that they will not be able to use the maximum force. But if your body weight is in the right foot and the right to the front, then automatically the heel is slightly lifted from the ground. So kindly don't insist the athlete to lift the right heel, but it will be automatically lifted if the body weight is on the right foot and in the front part of the foot. And right heel and left toe is lined up, as I said, heel toe, backward lean against the throwing direction. And this is all same for the all throws. Then the delivery phase. In the delivery phase, as I said in the beginning, we should concentrate whether the athlete is able to use the bigger muscle first and then smaller muscle. Also, the summation of force. What is the summation of force? The joints should be timely active. For example, in shot putting, ankle, knee, hip, shoulder, then wrist. So that also a main important point in fundamentals of throwing. Not only in shot putting, in all the throws, the arc position, when we deliver the implement, when we transfer the force from right foot to the throwing arm, it should be first of all, the big muscle should be used first and then smaller muscles. Then the summation of the angle, the joints should be used in the right time for right performance. Then this recovery, that is very controversial for me. I think we don't need to teach recovery to the athlete, because the recovery is to control the kinetic energy left out, to control the body, to control the kinetic energy left out on with athletes because to avoid fouling. But it has got unique method of recovery. I mean, recovery. It is not, we can't say the same thing, a particular model for recovery. And rather, I am in opinion that if you teach recovery in the beginning, the athlete will not be able to fix the left leg and use complete power on this, complete power on the delivery. They will be slightly jumping, but jumping in like in rotational throws, jumping is there, but after fixing the left leg and acting the right leg completely, then there is a jumping action. But if you start teaching them, they will not be able to use the right leg properly. So in my opinion, let them have themselves when they, for example, when they come to 15, 16-year-old, they will start making falls. So then automatically we can instruct them. You just, for example, bring your left leg behind and bend and right leg to be lower down. So this can be made. For example, in javelin throw, you see, this is also a solution for getting, and the solution for not getting fouled. For example, Neeraj Chopra, after release of javelin, is doing a similar position like this Kenyan javelin thrower is doing, like similar way of solution avoiding the foul. For example, in shot put also, it's different. So recovery is to discharge the remaining kinetic energy of the thrower and control for not falling outside. There are two different methods of teaching a skill. I think many of our level 1 students are here. That is training and shaping. But in throwing, when we are teaching throwing even, we generally use chaining method. That is breaking the complete skill into different parts, and that also we should make sure that we are teaching easier skill and then going to the complicated one. For example, in teaching progression, first is introduction of the implement, that is safety and grip. I forgot to tell that most important thing which we have to remember, that when we teach throws, we must make sure safety of athletes, safety of other athletes, safety of you yourself, safety of any athletes participating in the ground, any athlete training in the stadium. We have a lot of examples in front of us in competition, as well as even I have experienced a tragic accident in armor throw during training. Because most and important skill for teaching, important thing to teaching a skill, that you should ensure safety first. And we must inform the athlete in the beginning of the teaching program progressions about the safety. Then how to grip or hold the implement. Then comes what is the most important and easiest skill is delivery. Using front throws, using back throws, using just parallel throws, we can introduce delivery. Thereafter, power position. Then recovery. And you see the momentum building is somewhere in the last but one stage, which when we teach throwing technique, because that is the most difficult area which athlete can get into it. And also make sure that we should start teaching one to other progression, and until and unless when the athlete has got little bit of good, little bit of that skill in the beginning. That, for example, before delivery is if athlete is not able to deliver properly, let us not go to the power position. When they start delivering properly, then we'll go to power position, and we'll be teaching them delivery. Then of course recovery. Then recovery, of course, when we are in delivering, then definitely the recovery also coming in. Then after that, we will be teaching momentum building, and then preparation phase. This is the teaching throwing technique. This is the style of teaching throwing technique by a chaining method. What are the point to emphasis? One is optimum speed in the momentum building phase, increasing velocity in power position and delivery, and a correct power position. Of course, I already spoke about all this, so I think it is not necessary to explain again. And successive activity of the joints involved in the final moment of picking with the maximum velocity transfer to the implement. This is what I said, summation of force, and also the bigger muscle first and then small muscles. Then complete extension of the body in the delivery, developing technique with implements slightly lighter than the competition weight. This also, we must make sure that we should not teach technique with very light implements, because when they come to the competition type implement, they will not be able to coordinate the technique which they learn in with the very light implement. So I advise it's about, you can say, 10 to 20% less than the original weight we can use for developing techniques. And make sure that variety, whereas in the principle of training, we are insisting for variety. So a wide variety of exercise with different implements and different throwing movements and from different situations. This also will ask to develop the neuronal variability, and they will be mastering this skill as fast as possible. And what are the points to avoid? Please don't start the competition technique to young athletes until and unless the athlete has reached to the appropriate physical prerequisite for that. And implements of improper size, weight, or aerodynamic qualities. So, for example, we should not teach an athlete with a bricks, a javelin thrower with a brick or a thing which is not having any aerodynamic qualities. Introduction of new technique elements before satisfactory performance of those already introduced. That's what I said in the beginning of teaching progression. We should make sure that the athlete had made some satisfactory performance of the skill which he already introduced. Then we should introduce them to a new technique. Excessive throwing movements for athletes who are not gained the appropriate strength level in the abdominal and leg muscles. You know, the abdomen is the transformer for transferring the power from the lower extremity to the upper extremity. That is what everyone now, we are more concentrating to developing core strength. If an athlete is not developed with the proper core strength, when they use the leg muscles, definitely they get either the abdominal injuries or back injuries. So you must make sure that excessive throwing movements should not be introduced for athlete until unless the athlete has gained appropriate strength level in abdomen and leg muscles. I can show you some videos of some of the outstanding world-class throws. This is Mr. Thomas Roller from Germany. He was the 2016 Olympic champion. We can see how he's performing. You can see his right leg action, how fast he's in the from power position. He is led, transferring the force to the hip through hip, shoulder, and wrist. And can you see that he's not looking with big mass. He's looking like a hurdler otherwise. Let us go to another one. Is Mason Finley. He was the last 2019 World Championship silver medalist from USA. This is Joe Quacks, last year 2019 World Champion in shot put. He has made his last throw with 22.91 and won the World Championship. You can see that Thomas Walsh was just behind him with 22.90 meters. Now we can see an interesting video here. Very outstanding hammer throw from Poland is Paul Fajdik, and he's four-time world champion. That is from 13, 15, 17, and 19. That's all with the fundamental of throws. And now I'm just going to event specific conditioning. We all coaches know that is specificity when we are planning training, specificity. And we need to have event specific conditioning. I'm just showing some videos of Sri Neeraj Chopra for the event specific conditioning and what are the things. For example, we don't need to train much of endurance for throwing at
Mr. Radha, Mr. Radha, hello.
strength or more of strength training. So,
Hello, Mr. Radha sir.
yes.
While sharing the videos, please make optimization. It is below there is a point where you can put the optimization of video. So this will give the continuous effect. It will be coming interruption. There is while the video is not coming.
Okay.
In continuous way.
Okay, I do.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
So let me.
Hello, sir.
Yes.
So you can click on that share button, share screen button, and after that, one page will come. At the bottom of the that page, one option is there: share
It's
computer
not-
sound, optimize screen
No,
sharing.
I
or video.
understand, but I'm
Okay.
not able to stop sharing now on this.
Now it stops, sir. We are
Stop?
not able. Yes, sir. We are not able to see the PPT.
Okay. ഇത് ഷെയർ ചെയ്യാൻ പറ്റുന്നില്ല. ഇത് എൻ്റെ അതാ. Hello.
Yes, sir.
I think you have taken my computer on your remote because I'm not getting my screen on my computer when I like to share my screen. I'm getting somebody else screen when I try to share.
No, sir. No, sir. Now,
This
actually,
is,
you are the co-host and you can share. Now, screen is getting shared.
which is that?
Sir, your screen is coming, sir. That desktop picture is coming. So now you can share, sir.
Not coming.
Now you can go to the folder and share.
Is it coming?
Yes, sir. We can see that video. Now you have opened one video. Neeraj
Okay.
Chopra.
Okay, thank you. This is the, so I'm sorry, I apologize because in between my screen has been not been shown. This is some of the strength and conditioning exercise which is performed by an elite athlete, but this can be performed by the intermediate athlete as well. We can just watch. This is, of course, to develop the strength as well as the coordination. You can see he is using bigger muscle first than the small muscle later. And this is also a coordinative as well as the strength, a specific strength training. We can do it from throwing from backward as well. The sting, that is for the coordination as well as for balancing. It's very important to develop coordination balance. Again, strength conditioning, even specific strength conditioning. This is even specific with technique, coordinating technique as well as coordination. Some gymnastics exercise for flexibility, some of the strength exercise to develop strength and to develop the shoulder strength. This is also for strengthening core and the abdomen exercises. That's all. It is not only these many exercises, there are so many exercises I just shown you as a sample model, and the time also doesn't permit to show more of strength, even specific strength and conditioning exercises. So thank you very much. Thank you for listening. Now we have time to have some questions. It is only 10:27. I could keep the word with Joy sir. So somebody is coordinating for questions. Mr. Jayaraman, can you hear me? Hello? Hello?
Yes, sir. 1 second. 1 second.
Can you hear me?
Yeah. Where is the question? Sir, there is a few questions. Can I start?
Yes, please.
So first question, that is whether power position gap between legs should be more or less. Whether power position gap between legs should be more or less.
Of course, I explained when I was explaining about the power position. It depends upon the strength level of athlete, because if an athlete is not having sufficient right strength in the right foot, if an athlete keep a long stance in the power position, he will not be able to lift as fast as possible required to get into the delivery. Secondly, it depends on the physiological characteristics. Physical characteristics. If a tall athlete will be having a little bit more wide stance, but a shorter thrower may not be able to make a so wide stance. Hope it is satisfied by the participant.
Hello.
Please, our chief coach will put some more input.
I will try to submit something there. Power position, everyone have a different thing, different power position. I tell you what is that. The coach must check what they are standing through, how they are doing a standing throw. When they are doing a best throw, from which power position? My voice is coming.
Yes, sir. Yes,
Yes,
sir. Getting.
yes.
Every athlete has a different power position. We must check their standing throw, how they are using that time their lower body and upper body at the time of standing. That is the more appropriate power position for every individual. It is not a question of wide leg or closed leg. If he is doing a better throw, that is suits to him.
Thank you, sir.
Okay.
Shall I move to next question?
Yes.
If we do the first part slow and the second part fast in the glide technique, will it increase our throw or not?
In between there was some problem. Can you repeat the question?
Okay, sure. Can I? If we do the first part slow and second part fast in the glide technique, will it increase our throw or not?
Yes, suppose if you are taking a very fast glide, and if you are not able to convert the same speed, same momentum created to the implement, then there is no meaning of taking a fast glide. We should start in a slow and means optimum with an optimum speed, the glide, and then we should be maximum speed should be created while using the right leg in the delivery action.
Okay, fine.
Again, I want to put something here. The most important, the power position should not be disturbed. Let them do whatever speed they can take. If power position is not disturbed, that is the optimum speed. and must try to put in your left leg as fast as possible. That you're giving you the more strong position that time. Thank you.
Okay, fine. Sir, I move to next question. Is body mass affect the performance of discus throw player? Is body
It's a
mass?
very,
Hmm,
it's
yes.
very interesting question. You know, to maintain, to create a greater momentum, the momentum which we build, the body mass, that is, momentum is mass into velocity. Mass, we mean that body mass, and then velocity. Mass into velocity will create momentum. For example, an athlete is having very big body mass and is not having a sufficient speed, sufficient velocity, definitely the momentum created will be quite less. And similarly, an athlete is not having enough mass. For example, I will tell you, for just an example, a train coming with 10 kilometers per hour will, if it hits some object, that will be totally perished. But in the case of bicycle, if it comes even 60 kilometers speed, that there will not be much damage to the object. That means the bicycle, though having high velocity, but of low mass, it is not able to create the momentum which created by the train, which is having a big mass and low velocity. That means there is, it is, we can't say that athlete, if we improve the mass, then definitely if you improve mass more into a more to an extent which is more, will definitely reduce your velocity. And it should be optimum mass, which can, they can create a optimum velocity, and by that then they can maintain, they can create a greater momentum. That is what actually we need. It is, if it, the athlete, the discus throw is quite heavy, and if he's not having sufficient velocity, sufficient speed, then the mass will not anyway will not help the athlete anyway. It is not only for discus throwing; it is for all the throws. Little bit different in javelin.
Okay, fine. Can I move to next question?
Yes, please.
Can you explain in detail why big muscles should not be used after recruiting the small muscles?
Of course, main reason is big muscles are slower than the smaller muscles. For example, a shot putter, if he is not able to use the big muscle fast, then he will not get chance to use the small muscles. You can't stop. That is what we do when doing. We are insisting first the lower muscles like that gluteus and hamstring, quadriceps, the bigger muscles in the body, and then comes to the smaller muscles. Then it will be more faster. If you use smaller muscle first, we will not get a chance to use the big muscle. And if you don't use the big muscle, we will not be able to create more more velocity in the delivery.
So next question. What are the reason of causing performance barrier in throws? What should be done to break the barrier?
What are the reason?
Of causing performance.
There are, we said, first of all, is the technique, skill. If the one who doesn't have a proper skill or technique will not be able to perform good. And similarly, there are many parameters which forbidding the performance. Other one, as I said in the beginning, are not able to use the muscle, the muscles properly, and not using the joints in the right time for delivering the technique. That is summation of force. What else? Walker, can you just come in?
Yes, for sure. Sorry, what was the question?
Once again, Mr. Joy.
Sir, what are the reason of causing performance barrier in throws?
Performance barrier.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Interest.
Personally, I believe that one of the main reasons is also what we discussed in early specialization. You can see internationally now that a lot of throwers, especially at a younger age, they're focusing more on lighter weights, for example. So instead of doing the shot put with 7.26 kg, you might do it with 6.5 or 7 kg only, because as Mr. Radhakrishnan pointed out, the release speed is of very high importance. If you're always doing throws with very heavy weights, or even heavier than you're using them in competition, you're actually slowing the whole movement down, and that has a negative impact on your central nervous system or the motor program. So we have to avoid such speed barriers. We need to use different implements, different weights, and if possible, also a lot of lighter weights than we're doing in competition, just to enhance the speed of the release.
Okay, fine. Now we are just ending our question hours. Now, thank you very much, Sri Radhakrishnan sir, given such a wonderful session with your great experience as a chief coach, IT chief coach, and also World Athletics lecturer. Thank you so much. Now, may I request today guest of honor, Dronacharya Bahadur Singh sir, can you please share some views about the today's session? Sir, please.
Respected Dr. Kishore Saab and all participants and our teacher today, Radhakrishnan ji, given a very good lecture, no doubt.